EA and DICE have been delivering new Battlefield installments at a pretty steady rate for several years now, but we've never really gotten a true kind of direct follow-up to the series' breakout hit, Battlefield 1942. That's finally changed now that the series has gone back to World War II with the new downloadable sequel, Battlefield 1943. Now, this is kind of a condensed version of Battlefield with some of the non-essential elements sort of stripped out of the core gameplay, but DICE has really kept in all the things that actually matter to the experience, and they've delivered a fantastic and focused Battlefield experience on the cheap. This new game is set solely in the Pacific theater of World War II, and you've got three classic maps that are taken straight out of 1942. You've got Guadalcanal, Iwo Jima, and my personal favorite, Wake Island. These are all small island maps, so you're not going to get any massive land battles with battalions of tanks rushing at each other. But you still get plenty of, fighter planes, tanks, jeeps, anti-aircraft guns, basically all of the essentials that you look for in kind of a solid Battlefield experience. There's also a fourth bonus map in here, Coral Sea, but that one focuses just on aerial combat, so if that's your thing, that's pretty cool. But I think the real value here is in the three core maps and all of the mixed combat, the naval, aerial, and land stuff that you look for in this kind of game. It might make you feel a little bit old to realize that Battlefield 1942 is actually 8 years old now, but luckily 1943 doesn't feel dated at all. DICE has succeeded in really bringing the game in line with the current standards of the Battlefield series. You've got destructible geometry from Bad Company. That makes it a lot harder for enemies to camp out inside the buildings that are around each control point. And frankly, it also makes it a lot more fun to drive tanks around because you can just plow straight through trees and fences now instead of getting stuck on that geometry. You've also got all the squad spawning options that have crept into the Battlefield series over time. Those basically make it easier for you to kind of link up with your friends on the battlefield. You can spawn right into their vehicles. It makes it a lot easier to communicate with them and stick together as a unit when the action gets crazy. And while there are no bombers that you can fly yourself in 1943, there is a pretty cool new air raid feature that lets you jump into a set of bombers and decide when to lay a carpet of destruction across the enemy base. Sure, some of the gameplay is a little simplified in Battlefield 1943. There's only 3 player classes in here, so some of the older, kind of lesser favorites like the medic and the engineer are nowhere to be seen. But their important abilities are still spread across the 3 classes that are in here. So you've got the satchel charges on the sniper, the main infantry guy can repair vehicles, so you basically got all your abilities covered. The player count is now down to only 12 on 12, but the map design accommodates that size. The maps have been condensed just a little bit to make sure that the action still feels snappy and that the flow really follows the map design. What I'm trying to tell you is that you shouldn't think by any means this is a dumbed-down Battlefield experience. On the contrary, 1943 really feels like it's been streamlined to work well on a console and still retain that style of team-based combat that you're looking for in a Battlefield game. Honestly, $15 really is a fair price for such an exciting and well-rounded multiplayer experience.